Unit 9. What is the verb form of to use?
The verb form of to use is use, used, used.
What is the verb form of to like?
The verb form of to like is like, liked, liked.
What is the verb form of to play?
The verb form of to play is play, played, played.
What is the verb form of to walk?
The verb form of to walk is walk, walked, walked.
What is the verb form of to have?
The verb form of to have is have, had, had.
What is the verb form of to know?
The verb form of to know is know, knew, known.
What is the verb form of to teach?
The verb form of to teach is teach, taught, taught.
How long have you known me?
I have known you for 2 months.
Do you have a job?
Yes, I have a job.
How long have you had your job?
I have had my job for a month.
When did you buy your book?
I bought my book 2 months ago.
How long have you had it?
I have had it for 2 months.
Who is your favourite actor?
Harrison Ford is my favourite actor.
How long have you liked him?
I have liked him since 1990.
How long have I taught you English?
You have taught me English for 2 months.
How long have you been in this city?
I have been in this city for 2 months.
How long have you been in this classroom?
I have been in this classroom for 35 minutes.
What is your father's job?
My father is a doctor.
How long has he been a doctor?
He has been a doctor for 25 years.
How long have I been a teacher? Ask me.
How long have you been a teacher?
How long has she been a student at this school? Ask.
How long have you been a student at this school? For, since.
How long have you known me?
I've known you for 2 months.
Since when?
Since November.
How long have you been in this city?
I've been in this city for 6 months.
Since when?
Since August.
How long have you been at school today?
I've been at school for 35 minutes today.
Since what time?
Since 9:30.
Give me an example of the present perfect with since.
I've studied English since October.
What is the verb form of to write?
The verb form of to write is write, wrote, written.
What is the verb form of to read?
The verb form of to read is read, read, read.
What is the verb form of to make?
The verb form of to make is make, made, made.
Have you ever used a computer?
Yes, I have used a computer.
Have you ever lived in America?
No, I've never lived in America.
Have you ever watched a French film?
No, I've never watched a French film.
Have you ever read an English newspaper?
Yes, I have read an English newspaper.
Have you ever written a letter in English?
Yes, I have written a letter in English.
Have you ever made dinner for your family?
No, I've never made dinner for my family.
Have you ever had an English breakfast?
Yes, I've had an English breakfast.
Have you ever had beer for breakfast?
No, I've never had beer for breakfast.
Have you ever had Indian food?
Yes, I've had Indian food. To meet. Met, met. To see. Saw, seen.
What is the verb form of to meet?
The verb form of to meet is meet, met, met.
What is the verb form of to see?
The verb form of to see is see, saw, seen.
What do people say when they meet for the first time?
People say, "How are you?" when they meet for the first time.
When did you first meet me?
I first met you 2 months ago.
Have you ever met a famous person?
No, I've never met a famous person.
Have you ever seen a famous person?
Yes, I've seen the Queen.
What was the last film you saw?
The last film I saw was Fight Club.
Have you ever seen an elephant?
Yes, I have seen an elephant.
Have you ever seen a spider that was bigger than your hand?
No, I've never seen a spider that was bigger than my hand.
What is the verb form of to forget?
The verb form of to forget is forget, forgot, forgotten.
What's the verb form of to drink?
The verb form of to drink is drink, drank, drunk.
What is the verb form of to buy?
The verb form of to buy is buy, bought, bought.
Have you ever forgotten your mother's birthday?
No, I've never forgotten my mother's birthday.
Have you ever forgotten to bring your book to the lesson?
Yes, I've forgotten to bring my book to the lesson.
Have you ever drunk champagne?
No, I've never drunk champagne.
Have you ever drunk champagne for breakfast?
No, I've never drunk champagne for breakfast.
Have you ever drunk more than one bottle of wine?
Yes, I've drunk more than one bottle of wine.
Have you ever bought clothes from a market?
Yes, I have bought clothes from a market.
Have you ever bought clothes from a very expensive shop?
No, I've never bought clothes from a very expensive shop.
Has anyone ever bought you something you didn't want?
Yes, my mother has bought me a green and yellow jumper. To stay. Hotel. Wait.
What kind of places do people stay in when they go on holiday?
People stay in hotels when they go on holiday.
When was the last time you stayed in a hotel?
The last time I stayed in a hotel was 6 months ago.
How long do you think you will stay in this city?
I think I will stay in this city for 2 years.
Have you ever stayed in an expensive hotel?
No, I've never stayed in an expensive hotel.
Do you like waiting?
No, I don't like waiting.
What kind of things do people wait for?
People wait for buses and trains.
Have you ever waited more than an hour for a bus?
No, I've never waited for more than an hour for a bus.
Have you ever waited for someone who didn't come?
Yes, I have waited for someone who didn't come. To try.
What am I trying to do?
You're trying to open the door.
Have you ever tried to understand English radio?
Yes, I have tried to understand English radio.
Do you always try hard to answer my questions?
Yes, I always try hard to answer your questions.
Have you ever tried to make bread?
No, I've never tried to make bread.
Have you ever tried to stand on your head?
No, I've never tried to stand on my head.
Has anyone ever tried to sell you something you didn't want?
Yes, someone tried to sell me a car.
Did you buy it?
No, I didn't buy it.
Do you like trying new things?
Yes, I like trying new things.
When was the first time you tried English food?
The first time I tried English food was 6 months ago.
Did you like it?
Yes, I liked it.
Have you ever tried snails?
Yes, I have tried snails.
Have you ever tried rabbit?
No, I've never tried rabbit.
Have you ever tried horse meat?
No, I've never tried horse meat.
Have you ever tried water skiing?
No, I've never tried water skiing.
Do you want to try it?
Yes, I want to try it.
Is there anything you want to try?
Yes, I want to try Korean food. Particular. Particular time.
When were you born?
I was born on the 12th of August, 1976.
When did Princess Diana die?
Princess Diana died in July 1997.
When did you start school?
I started school when I was 6 years old.
When was the first time you met me?
The first time I met you was 2 months ago.
When did this lesson begin?
This lesson began 35 minutes ago.
When was the last time you went to the cinema?
The last time I went to the cinema was last Saturday.
When was the last time you bought some new clothes?
The last time I bought some new clothes was last Sunday.
When was the last time you had foreign food?
The last time I had foreign food was yesterday.
Have you ever stayed in a very bad hotel?
Yes, I've stayed in a very bad hotel.
Do you know when he stayed there?
No, I don't know when he stayed there.
Have you ever had a big party for your birthday?
Yes, I've had a big party for my birthday.
Do you know when he had the party?
No, I don't know when he had the party.
Have you ever stayed in Paris?
Yes, I've stayed in Paris.
Do you know when he went there?
No, I don't know when he went there.
Have you ever been very drunk?
Yes, I've been very drunk.
When was the last time?
The last time was last Saturday.
Have you ever waited for someone in the rain?
Yes, I've waited for my brother in the rain.
Do you know when that happened?
No, I don't know when that happened.
Have you ever seen a famous person?
Yes, I've seen a famous person.
Who did you see?
I saw Tony Blair.
Where did you see him?
I saw him in the supermarket.
When did you see him?
I saw him 3 weeks ago.
Ask her a question about her life with the present perfect.
Have you ever been to Egypt? Midday. Midnight.
What is the verb form of to eat?
The verb form of to eat is eat, ate, eaten.
What is the verb form of to sleep?
The verb form of to sleep is sleep, slept, slept.
What is the verb form of to get up?
The verb form of to get up is get up, got up, got up.
Have you ever eaten frog's legs?
No, I've never eaten frog's legs.
Have you ever slept on the floor?
Yes, I have slept on the floor.
Have you ever got up later than midday?
No, I've never got up later than midday.
Do you usually go to bed before or after midnight?
I usually go to bed before midnight. To drive, drove, driven. Lorry, van.
What is the verb form of to drive?
The verb form of to drive is drive, drove, driven.
Can you drive?
Yes, I can drive.
Have you got a car?
No, I haven't got a car.
Have you ever driven a lorry?
No, I've never driven a lorry.
Have you ever driven a van?
Yes, I've driven a van.
Have you ever driven a car very fast?
No, I've never driven a car very fast.
Have you ever driven on the left?
Yes, I have driven on the left. To ride, rode, ridden. A bicycle, a horse, a motorbike.
What is the verb form of to ride?
The verb form of to ride is ride, rode, ridden.
Have you ever ridden a horse?
Yes, I have ridden a horse.
Have you ever ridden a motorbike?
Yes, I have ridden a motorbike.
Have you ever ridden an elephant?
No, I've never ridden an elephant.
How old were you when you first rode a bicycle?
I was 8 years old when I first rode a bicycle. To learn, learnt, learnt.
Have you learnt anything new today?
Yes, I've learnt something new today.
What have you learnt?
I have learnt the verb to ride.
How old were you when you learnt to speak?
I was 2 years old when I learnt to speak.
How old were you when you learnt to write?
I was 4 years old when I learnt to write.
How old were you when you learnt to ride a bike?
I was 8 years old when I learnt to ride a bike.
Have you ever tried to learn French?
Yes, I've tried to learn French.
Was it easy or difficult?
It was difficult. To fly, flew, flown. Aeroplane, helicopter, bird.
What is the verb form of to fly?
The verb form of to fly is fly, flew, flown.
Did you fly to this country?
Yes, I flew to this country.
Have you ever flown in an aeroplane?
Yes, I have flown in an aeroplane.
Have you ever flown in a helicopter?
No, I've never flown in a helicopter.
Can birds fly?
Yes, birds can fly.
At what time of day do birds sing?
Birds sing in the morning.
What kind of birds do we eat?
We eat chickens, ducks and pigeons. To get. Station. Train. Bus. Airport. Plane. Port. Boat.
Where do you get a train?
I get a train from a station.
Where do you get a plane?
I get a plane from an airport.
Where do you get a boat?
I get a boat from a port.
How can you get from an airport to the city?
I can get from an airport to the city by underground.
What can you buy in an airport?
I can buy cigarettes and perfume in an airport. To travel. Ticket. Single. One way. Return. Standard. First class.
Do you like travelling?
Yes, I like travelling.
Which countries do you want to travel to in the future?
I want to travel to Poland and Germany in the future.
Do you usually buy a single or a return ticket when you travel abroad?
I usually buy a return ticket when I travel abroad.
Have you ever travelled by boat?
No, I've never travelled by boat.
Have you ever travelled by helicopter?
No, I've never travelled by helicopter.
Have you ever travelled first class?
Yes, I've travelled first class.
Is it quicker to travel by boat or by plane?
It's quicker to travel by plane.
Is it cheaper to travel first class or standard?
It's cheaper to travel standard.
What kind of ticket do we buy when we want to go somewhere and come back?
We buy a return ticket when we want to go somewhere and come back. High, low.
What is the opposite of high?
The opposite of high is low.
What is the difference between tall and high?
We use tall for people and high for things.
What is the difference between short and low?
We use short for people and low for things.
About how high does an aeroplane fly?
An aeroplane flies at about 10,000 meters.
In which countries are there a lot of very high mountains?
There are a lot of very high mountains in Nepal. North, south, east, west. Part.
What part of your country are you from?
I'm from the north of my country.
Are there any mountains in your country?
Yes, there are some mountains in my country.
In which part?
In the north.
Are there any beautiful places in your country?
Yes, there are some beautiful places in my country.
What part of your country are they in?
They're in the south.
Have you ever been to the north of Europe?
No, I've never been to the north of Europe.
Is the north of your country colder than the south of your country?
Yes, the north of my country is colder than the south of my country. Capital.
What is the capital of your country?
Paris is the capital of my country.
What part of your country is the capital in?
It's in the north.
What is the capital of England?
London is the capital of England.
What part of the country is it in?
It's in the south. Age.
At what age do babies begin to talk?
Babies begin to talk at the age of 2.
At what age did you start school?
I started school at the age of 6.
At what age can you drive in your country?
I can drive in my country at the age of 17.
Do you think we are about the same age?
Yes, I think we're about the same age. Size.
Have you got big feet?
No, I haven't got big feet.
So, what size are your shoes?
My shoes are size 9.
What size do you think my shoes are?
I think your shoes are size 6.
Are we about the same size?
Yes, we're about the same size. Height. Weight.
Do you know your weight in kilograms?
Yes, I'm 75 kilograms.
Do you know your weight in pounds?
Yes, I'm 11 stones, 10 pounds.
Do you know your height in meters and centimeters?
Yes, I'm 1 meter 80 centimeters.
Do you know your height in feet and inches?
Yes, I'm 5 feet 11 inches. The same as.
Do you think you are about the same age as me?
No, I don't think I'm the same age as you.
So are you older or younger than me?
I'm younger than you.
Is your city about the same size as London?
No, my city isn't the same size as London.
So is it bigger or smaller than London?
It's smaller than London.
Is your bedroom about the same size as this classroom?
Yes, my bedroom is about the same size as this classroom.
Are you the same height now as when you were 15?
No, I'm not the same height now as when I was 15.
Are you about the same height as anyone here?
Yes, I'm about the same height as John.
My friend has been to New York. Did my friend go to New York?
Yes, your friend went to New York.
Has my friend come back here?
Yes, your friend has come back here.
So is my friend still in New York?
No, your friend isn't still in New York.
My friend has gone to New York. Did my friend go to New York?
Yes, your friend went to New York.
Has my friend come back?
No, your friend hasn't come back.
So is my friend still in New York?
Yes, your friend is still in New York.
Is my friend here?
No, your friend isn't here.
Why not?
Because your friend has gone to New York.
What is the biggest city in your country?
Mexico City is the biggest city in my country.
Is it the capital?
Yes, it's the capital.
Who is the tallest person in your family?
My brother is the tallest person in my family.
Who is the oldest man in your family?
My grandfather is the oldest man in my family.
Who is the oldest woman in your family?
My grandmother is the oldest woman in my family.
Who is the oldest child in your family?
I'm the oldest child in my family.
Who is the oldest person in this class?
Jennifer is the oldest person in this class.
Which is the nearest station to your house?
Southfields is the nearest station to my house.
Which is the nearest station to this school?
Tottenham Court Road is the nearest station to this school.
Which was the easiest subject you studied at school?
Maths was the easiest subject I studied at school. The world. Continent. Asia, Europe, North America, South America, Africa, Australasia.
How many continents are there in the world?
There are 6 continents in the world.
Which continent are you from?
I'm from Europe.
What is the biggest country in the world?
Russia is the biggest country in the world.
What is the longest river in your country?
The Amazon is the longest river in my country.
What is the longest river in the world?
The Nile is the longest river in the world.
What is the highest mountain in your country?
Mount Fuji is the highest mountain in my country.
What is the highest mountain in the world?
Mount Everest is the highest mountain in the world. To give, gave, given. To run, ran, run. To bring, brought, brought. To take, took, taken.
Have you ever given flowers to anyone?
Yes, I've given flowers to someone.
Who did you give them to and why?
I gave them to my mother because it was her birthday.
Have you ever given money to someone in the street?
Yes, I've given money to someone in the street.
Have you ever run for a bus?
Yes, I've run for a bus.
Have you ever brought food to the classroom?
Yes, I've brought food to the classroom.
Have you ever brought a friend to the school?
No, I've never brought a friend to the school.
Have you ever taken clothes back to a shop because you didn't like them?
Yes, I have taken clothes back to a shop because I didn't like them.
What was the most interesting subject you studied at school?
Geography was the most interesting subject I studied at school.
What was the most boring subject you studied at school?
History was the most boring subject I studied at school.
What is the most beautiful part of your country?
Rome is the most beautiful part of my country.
Who do you think is the most beautiful actress in the world?
I think Sharon Stone is the most beautiful actress in the world.
Who do you think is the most famous person in your country?
I think Ricky Martin is the most famous person in my country. Fact. Opinion.
Listen to these sentences and say fact or opinion. Brazil is a big country.
Fact.
Britain is a beautiful country.
Opinion.
Pasta is nice with cheese.
Opinion.
Pasta comes from Italy.
Fact.
Coffee is horrible.
Opinion.
Champagne is more expensive than milk.
Fact.
Russia is the biggest country in the world.
Fact.
English grammar is very interesting.
Opinion. To think, thought, thought. Brain.
Where is your brain?
My brain is in my head.
Do you think hard when you study English?
Yes, I think hard when I study English.
Do you think hard when you watch English television?
Yes, I think hard when I watch English television.
Do you think hard when you watch television in your country?
No, I don't think hard when I watch television in my country.
Do you think that your country is very beautiful?
Yes, I think that my country is very beautiful.
Do you think that the food in your country is nicer than English food?
Yes, I think that the food in my country is nicer than English food.
Who do you think is the most famous English person?
I think Robbie Williams is the most famous English person.
Can I speak English better than you?
Yes, you can speak English better than me.
Can you speak your language better than me?
Yes, I can speak my language better than you.
Are England better at football than your country?
Yes, England are better at football than my country.
Do you think that English food is better or worse than the food from your country?
I think English food is worse than the food from my country.
Do you think English weather is better or worse than the weather in your country?
I think English weather is worse than the weather in my country.
What was your best subject at school?
Geography was my best subject at school.
What was your worst subject at school?
Maths was my worst subject at school.
What is the best present you've ever had?
The best present I've ever had is a car from my father.
Who do you think is the best writer from your country?
I think Gabriel Garcia Marquez is the best writer from my country.
Who do you think is the best student in the class?
I think Ola is the best student in the class.
Who do you think is the best actress in the world?
I think Judi Dench is the best actress in the world.
What kind of clothes are best for playing football?
T-shirts and shorts are best for playing football.
What kind of clothes are best for skiing?
Jumpers and scarves are best for skiing.
What kind of clothes are best for a holiday on the beach?
Shorts are best for a holiday on the beach.
What kind of clothes are best for working in the garden?
Old clothes are best for working in the garden.
Who is your best friend at school?
David Richardson was my best friend at school.
Are they still your best friend?
Yes, they are still my best friend.
What is the verb form of to hear?
The verb form of to hear is hear, heard, heard.
What is the verb form of to sing?
The verb form of to sing is sing, sang, sung.
What is the verb form of to stand?
The verb form of to stand is stand, stood, stood.
Have you ever heard the birds singing in the morning?
Yes, I've heard the birds singing in the morning.
Have you ever heard anyone singing in the bath?
Yes, I've heard someone singing in the bath.
Have you ever sung at a party?
No, I've never sung at a party.
Have you ever stood up for a long time in a train or a bus?
Yes, I've stood up for a long time in a train.
What is the best film you've ever seen?
Star Wars is the best film I've ever seen.
What is the most interesting subject you've ever studied?
Geography is the most interesting subject I've ever studied.
What is the most expensive city you've ever been to?
London is the most expensive city I've ever been to.
What is the most difficult subject you've ever studied?
Mathematics is the most difficult subject I've ever studied.
What is the best place you've ever been to on holiday?
Australia is the best place I've ever been to on holiday.